This is my burn doctor, a gentleman named Vachiavajan, this wonderful leader who understood enough, not only that you have to have compassion and love as a leader, but you got to surround yourself with a team that has that same kind of compassion, that same kind of drive, that same kind of love. And so he surrounded himself with these therapists, physical, speech, occupational, respiratory, blood technicians, the whole works, who support people in these organizations, including the nurses. And one of my favorite nurses looked less like that picture and more like this picture. Okay? He was this giant man named Roy. And Big Roy would come into my room every day. He would pick me up like this and hold me upright. It took the physical therapist 7 months to get me on my feet again. It took Roy about 7 weeks. He never actually let my feet hit the ground. But the blood would race from my head and my heart down to my toes. It would throb like you can't imagine. And then he would walk me back to the bandage changing tub. And on the walk back there, he would say into my ear very softly, "Boy, boy, you are going to walk again. You might as well get used to it." And when you have some giant man telling you that you better get used to something as he's holding you, you get used to it. And then he would walk me back to the bandage changing tub. He would submerge me into this stainless steel tub of water, and this bandage change would begin. Next two pictures are going to be tough. If you want to look away, go ahead. It would take Roy and his team a half an hour to pull off the bandages. And then once they were off, they could do their job, which was to clean the body. So it would take them another half an hour to clean those wounds. And then they would raise me out of the water. They would set me on the side table. They would dry me off, remedicate, rewrap, bring me back to my room after an hour and a half of torture. Imagine that pain. But instead of feeling it from the patient's perspective, feel it from the nurses. Because when they were finished with me, they started an IV drip with morphine, and I was doing good. They would leave my room, walk 15 feet this way, open up another set of double glass doors, walk in, and do it again. The older patients would go kicking and screaming. When they were finished with that one, they would walk 15 feet this way and do it again. I realized that rejection on the phone and in person, that's tough, it's brutal, it just kills you. But can you imagine this being your job every day? But that quote from Nietzsche is what allows them to carry through. When you know your why, you can endure anyhow. We grew as patients to love this team. And so when I was married 17 years later to Beth, we invited the entire team back to our wedding. And there it is, almost 17 years later, every nurse that we could find came. The only one unable to make it was our main man, Roy. And we would have been so privileged to have him sitting there in that church when I walked down the aisle by myself and then walked out with my bride. When nobody else believed, that guy dreamed big. That guy believed enough for both of us. He was right. He had that big, bold dream.